things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back out. Yes, I have my doubts. But they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubts. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we're making back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening, Watchmen and Watchwomen of both Patreon and YouTube. Let me turn these speakers down a hair. So, yes, I'm actually public on YouTube tonight as well. Couple of different reasons. For one, I just kind of wanted to have a little bit of an open discussion. That is, if viewers are up to it. And for two, things are getting a bit concerning on an international level. And so I kind of want to discuss that, and I think it's important that folks hear this. I really do. So anyway, trying to think, I always start out the night, for those that don't know on YouTube, I kind of always start out the night with updates as far as we're concerned. Not a whole lot, just been a just been a typical day, taking care of the plants and whatnot. I am backing down off of the nutrients on the big tent because of the nutrient burn that I started witnessing. I started witnessing it, 3 or 4 days ago. And I just kept an eye on it, and it did continue. So now I'm just starting to feed straight water into it to try to dilute the nutrient solution a little bit. Not a big deal. Definitely not a catastrophic situation. So anyway, for our Patreon viewers, you'll see the Both Grow Tent video on Saturday, I'm sure, and then YouTube will see their normal the Small Grow Tent video on probably Saturday or Sunday or probably Saturday, I would say. But really, that's about it. Well, it's just been crappy and rainy and not much really going on. So kind of is what it is. I did take a picture today. It didn't turn out that great. The reason why is there's a 64 megabyte pixel. The lighting absolutely sucked, and so therefore that equals not such a great picture. So, but I did take a picture of Blue earlier. Hang on a second here. So I took a picture of Blue earlier. She was a bit not happy with the weather situation going on. So yeah, I had to capture the moment, but the picture really isn't that great because, like I say, the lighting, it is what it is. The Pocket 2 does not have a flash or anything on it, so oh well. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time in Adobe Lightroom trying to fix it either, so there is that, I guess. But anyway, like I say, otherwise a pretty normal day. Didn't do a whole lot because of the rain. Not a whole lot I can start doing as of yet. So I'm kind of holding off. I decided that on the Coleman project, on that Coleman 413G, I think I am going to prime the housing before I paint it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire brush it down good and prime it, and I'm probably going to sand a little bit. My OCD's getting me. I can't help it. I think what I'm going to do is prime it a little bit, try to sand it down, and try to smooth out where the rust has pitted it, especially on the cover, on the top cover. And I'm going to try to smooth that out and take care of the pitting so you can't see it so badly before I paint it. So, yeah, my OCD's getting me. I can't help it. But I just want to do a good job on it. I want to show you guys that with some time and some work, you can really have some super good results. And, I just want to show you that it's possible. So that stuff is coming up as soon as I'm able to get the stuff. By the way, for those on YouTube, that's the biggest reason why we're over there on Patreon. I mean, there's two reasons. For one, like I've said many times, separate the wheat and the tares. I mean, you wouldn't believe what that paywall prevents. It also gives me a chance to open up and talk about things much more openly, and I feel more comfortable with sharing things that I just wouldn't want to open up my front door and share with just anybody. So, it's a great thing. It really, truly is a great thing because there are so many people that are absolutely so against paying a penny to be able to see somebody on a different platform. And, I mean, it is what it is. And the haters really aren't going to pay a penny, or in this case, $2, to just to come over and hate on me. And if they do, hey, thanks for supporting me. But, because I really don't give a damn. But anyway, so, and the other reason, like I said, is to help with these projects because we're not a monetized channel. We're not monetized on YouTube or anything else. And, we've got an Amazon affiliate, but to be honest, it doesn't bring in a fortune. It just doesn't. I could show you. It doesn't bring in very much. So, trying to bring in incomes a little bit so I can support some of the projects that I want to do. And as an end result, I'm hoping that many people learn from them. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of why we're over there, what we're doing. And I thought tonight, like I said, I would invite YouTube and everybody on over because I've got some important things that I want to talk about. And it's kind of concerning how I'm seeing things roll out. As you saw in the thumbnails, picture of Putin. I captioned "challenged" on the thumbnail, and you may or may not have heard. There's been quite a bit of back and forth between Washington and the Kremlin, and the last that I know of, more or less, Putin challenged Biden to a live debate, and I couldn't help but laugh. And it's sad. It is sad that I am actually laughing at my own government at the challenge from another government. But we have a president that won't even answer questions for reporters or anything like that. He has some type of a press conference or whatever. And then the moment that he stops talking about, what is on his script, he turns around and walks away. He won't answer a single question from reporters, not one. That is concerning, and we should all be concerned about that. Whether you like Trump or not, at least he was there speaking, and it may not have always been, great, but at least it was there. In fact, the one thing, and you should all know by now, I'm not a fan of any politician, including Trump, but at least the man put up with an extreme amount of bullshit and just, he still answered questions, He still answered questions, and I have to give him that. Biden refuses to answer questions. Absolutely refuses. That in itself is concerning. And the people of the United States are getting increasingly upset. And rightfully so. They should, because, the President of the United States of America is somebody that should be reachable. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. And we have a president that's not reachable. And there are a lot of people that are starting to raise a lot of different questions, and including myself. And so, it begs to wonder what the future of this nation is. Now, I was talking to a friend earlier this morning, and we briefly talked about this, and it didn't even dawn on me. It did not even dawn on me until he said this. But he had said that Kamala is not a natural citizen. And to be honest, I didn't even know that. So I'm taking his word on that. If I'm wrong, understand that I have not done any checking into that or anything like that. But if that is the case, if she is not, naturally born in the United States, to my knowledge, she's not eligible to be president of the United States of America. Not from what I remember in history class. And so that kind of brings up kind of a interesting predicament. For one, I have to ask this question. If you're not eligible to be president of the United States, then how could you possibly be eligible to be vice president of the United States? That doesn't even make sense, So I kind of have that question to begin with, and I have been watching, and there have been many polls that have been being taken, and I don't trust polls as much as I can throw them, but they are interesting topics, and some of these polls are things such as people are concerned that somebody else is actually running this country, and I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot of people that would argue that. These polls are supposedly bipartisan. They supposedly aren't targeted for one particular party or the other, like many polls are. I have seen to where even other mainstream media, liberal mainstream media, are starting to question what is going on. How come no questions are being answered? How come it does seem like somebody else is running the country? How come Kamala Harris is the one that's having all of these high-level talks with other nations? Lots of questions are being brought up, and that is concerning. That is concerning. Now, over the course of the past month or so, as I have personally been observing what is going on, I have become increasingly concerned that this entire thing was nothing but a setup. Nothing but a setup to put somebody else in office, whether or not that be Kamala or whoever. And I also have questions as to whether or not this whole situation is being done to be able to create strife, right? Because if you take a look at what's going on in this nation, it seems like there is a whole lot of button pushing happening from the government itself. One of the things that, I learned here lately, stuff is blowing my mind. And there's so much, by the way. I may do news, but there's so many things that go on in so many places that I don't hear about, okay? I don't focus on the United States. I try to gather news from all over the world because that's just as important. And so, without having the time just to focus on one country or one particular issue in a country, there's going to be a lot of stuff I miss. There's only so many hours in a day, and I'm typically a pretty busy person. So, I'm sitting here and I'm watching these things like in Minneapolis. I didn't even know until maybe a week ago, if quite that long, that there's an autonomous zone set up in Minneapolis. I've been listening to Tim Pool talk about it. And by the way, you want to talk about a bang up show. I realize we're not live on YouTube every night like we used to be. Tim Pool. It's Timcast IRL. I'm telling you, hands down, the best. Hands down, the best. And I hope Luke Radowski gets back on there here soon. But it is just an incredibly good show over there. But they have been talking about this autonomous zone in Minneapolis. Now, you may remember the autonomous zone that was out in, I can't remember if it was Portland or Seattle. It was one of the two, but people had taken over, I guess it was a several block or one block, I don't know, area, and it was hell for the people that lived in that area, or the people that had to go through that area. There were some deaths involved in that. Of course, buildings burned, and I mean, it was like a war zone in this area. Well, from my understanding, Minneapolis is dealing with much the same. And what is really blowing my mind is Tim was talking about how the city of Minneapolis is going to give these people that are in this autonomous zone like $500,000. We're actually funding them, right? Now, individuals that were involved with the Capitol on January 6th are deemed domestic terrorists, and they're getting arrested. People are still getting arrested for what happened on January 6th. And they're domestic terrorists in the government's eyes. However, these people can take over an area of a city, and instead of being deemed domestic terrorists or being ran off, they're getting like $500,000. What sense does that make? And when I look at it, and I look at it from every angle that I possibly can, the only thing I can come up with is they're trying to piss people off. That's the only thing I can come up with, because it makes no sense in any way, shape, or form, and I can't see how anybody that's not directly involved in what's going on there would be behind it or support it. So, if that's the only thing I can come up with, the only reason why I can figure out that they're doing this nonsense, then I have to start looking for further motives. And that's where I really kind of get concerned. Because I'm looking out at the landscape of a lot of things going on right here in our nation, and it seems like the United States government is doing everything they can to push the buttons of we the people. Now, I've just talked about situations involving, protest, if you want to call it that, or these autonomous zones. I haven't even mentioned COVID-19 yet. And the mask mandates and the craziness that's going on with that. And I want to make it clear. I'm not taking a position. It's not my job to take a position for you. I wouldn't be news then. And that's one thing that really frustrates me at whether it's mainstream or YouTube or whatever, people that put that news, and they're not news, they're propaganda, because they're trying to push you one direction or another. That's not news, that's propaganda. So I'm not coming out and saying wear a mask, don't wear a mask. What I'm coming out and saying is this is the United States of America, and you have the freedom to make your own choices. That is what I'm saying. But I will also add that if you have concerns about catching COVID-19, then don't let anybody tell you not to protect yourself. I would tell you the same with a firearm, right? If you have concerns with your well-being, with your safety, and you feel like it's in your best interest to carry a firearm, well, then you do what you feel is best. This is the United States of America. That's the way it's supposed to be, and you are responsible, and only you are responsible for your own safety and security. Now, that doesn't change whether it's a virus or whether it's a robber or whatever. It's the same thing. But I will say, if you are concerned with catching this, don't think a cloth mask is going to do the trick. Please, it's not. N95 at minimum. Okay? If you're concerned at catching this, N95 at minimum. If you're not concerned at catching this, then enjoy your life. We need to stop the craziness that's going on in this country. And at this point, I think we can label it that. I've been watching ever since this came to this country, and I was warning about COVID before anybody in our media, our mainstream media, was even talking about it. I was warning about it. And I was just simply saying, keep an eye on this, watch this. This might turn into something. It turned into something, but I think a lot of it's hype. I do believe that for particular individuals that suffer from certain pre-existing conditions, it can be a nightmare. But I think for the average person that's in pretty good health, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now, that's not to say that's a young, healthy person that contracts it can't die from it or be laid up in the hospital for a period of time as a result of it. I'm not saying that. But it's definitely not what some media is trying to fearmonger it to be. It's not. And I think that, the data that has come out has proven that, well proven that. And so I just want to be really clear that I'm not taking a position on it. My job is to do the news. My job is to give you the information and for you to make your own decisions. All I want to do is empower you with the truth. I know, crazy, right? It's what we've done. It's what we've always done. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I know I've kind of narrowed down to the national things. And let me have a sip of coffee and a couple of vapes here. And then we'll start talking about some international things that are, in my opinion, very concerning. I know. It's like almost 8:30 p.m. my time, and I'm drinking coffee. It's the way I roll. I'm up to 3 pots a day. I love coffee though, and I need it anymore. I need it to get through the day. So I drink, of course, in the morning when I get up, and I don't drink the whole pot. Jen shares it with me, so in the morning I drink it when I get up, and then usually about 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon, and I drink a half a pot. Sometimes Jen doesn't have any, so I only make a half a pot. And then, evening, usually right before the show, about 7 p.m. or so, I'll make another pot or half a pot, whatever, depending on whether or not Jen's drinking. And I have to have it to get through the day. I mean, I go through a lot of brain energy through the day. A lot. Especially in these times. Oh, man. I'm vaping something different than usual. It's got banana cream, strawberry, and a little bit of vanilla ice cream. Pretty good stuff. Pretty soon, I'm going to learn how to make the good vape. I am that's the only good thing that Illinois has done since I think I've been alive. So anyway, so internationally, we are being challenged left and right. And I want to preface this with something because I think it's important. Now, you should know by now that the Bible is very important to me and that I use it for many, many cues. And one of the things that has always stuck in my mind, even before I was a believer, because those that have been around for a while know that I haven't always been a believer. But even when I was atheist, there was a part of the Bible that always stuck in my mind. And it's just one part, wars and rumors of wars. And I had always asked, what the hell does that mean? And I had asked that question for, well, probably up until the last, I don't know, maybe year. And now I think it's starting to become pretty clear. So I want to preface anything I say about this international situation with the statement that all the world is a stage. Because I don't think that we're necessarily even looking at true indifferences here. I think that people around the world, citizens around the world of different nations, are being set up to not only accept, but to beg for a one world government. Now, how do we get there? Well, you put people in such a situation that they're so hungry, they're so distraught, they're so tired, they're just exhausted in every way, that they just want it to stop. And if somebody comes along and says, well, we can make it stop. We can make it stop. We can stop all the wars. We can stop all the hunger. We can even stop disease. I think that a lot of people will be on board. Now understand that if you're listening to me from the United States of America, you're probably not going to be there in your mindset right now. Not yet. Not yet. But understand when I talk about these things that I firmly believe that what we are about to see unfold is merely a show. Now don't misunderstand me. There's going to be a lot of strife. There's going to be a lot of hurt. There's going to be a lot of death. But the powers that be don't care about those things. They don't care. What they care about is power and control. It's not even so much a matter of money anymore. The money is something that's being fought over by the smaller people. Right? Bezos may make a lot of decisions in governments, but he's not the top tier. Bill Gates, he's above Bezos, I have no doubt. He's more involved, that's for sure, but he's not the top tier. A lot of these people that think they're the top tier are going to find out otherwise, because they're expendable in reality. The ones that are truly in control, they're setting themselves up to where they really don't need much of anybody to be able to continue on with their mission. And as I'm watching these things unfold, I think we're getting near that point in time to where they're going to start pulling the strings and committing to the actions that is going to get, again, the citizens around the world to not just accept the idea, but to beg for it. And this is what is really concerning me at this point. And we are getting close. I really do think that we are getting close. There has been a lot of increased anxieties when it comes to China and Taiwan, for instance. I think we're about to see something kick off there. I think that we are likely about to see something, even though things seem to have simmered down a little bit. I think there's going to be issues. I think it's China and India, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I apologize. I think we're going to see a heightening of issues with North Korea. Now, I don't know that North Korea is a part of all of this. I don't know. I think that if there's any country that I would put at the top of the list to not be a part of all of this, it would be North Korea. I am actually starting to question Iran at this point. Why? Because Iran's pushing the vaccine. That's what makes me suspicious of Iran. I'm not going to get involved in that topic at all. I will tell you that they will be putting me 6 foot under before I accept one. You make your own decision. There are multiple reasons, and some of them are spiritually based reasons why I cannot. While I as a person, I as an earthly man am far from perfect. my body was created in such that it's not to be altered in that way. And I'll just put it like that. I could even bring up other mentions in the good book to where it's actually laid out in there that it's not the first time that man or such has tried to alter the Father's creation, which is another reason why I think things are getting pretty close. If you do look at the good book, and again, I use that as a timeline. I'm not trying to force anybody into belief or anything like that, but it is awful interesting how things are lining up. And there are a number of things that are lining up, right? Are we not reaching times very near Sodom and Gomorrah? I would say so. Are they not injecting the masses right now with something that makes changes to their DNA, RNA, whatever? Combination of both? Yeah. There are a lot of things that are lining up right now. And I can't ignore that. Absolutely cannot ignore that. And I'm watching these things happen, events and rhetoric, if you will, between the nations. And I'm starting to see the structuring of a coming big war. There's a lot of posturing going on with nations right now. And there are a lot of nations that are building up their military in both, manpower, but as well as equipment. I believe it is, the UK now that's making great strides towards building up more equipment. I think it's the UK. It's been in the news here lately, and in fact, I think there's an article I'll be reading the headline tonight. Iran's been building up their military. Russia has, of course, the United States has. Germany, Poland, all these nations. Of course, North Korea, that's a given. I don't know if I mentioned China or not. I think I might have forgotten China, or not mentioned China, but China's another. All these nations are building up their militaries. And if you think it's just coincidence, I would say you're foolish or naive. You don't put that much effort into something if you don't plan to use it. So I do think we are looking at a great war. But I will once again emphasize that all the world is a stage. And I do believe that this will fall under the category of wars and rumors of wars. While I think that the war will be very real for some nations, and it obviously will be very real for all of us, I don't think it'd be necessarily true for the ones pulling the strings. And again, I think the end goal is to get the citizens from around the world to beg for some sort of one world miracle to put a stop to it all. And I really do think what is happening with COVID-19 globally is a good indicator of that. I think there really doing a good job, so to speak, in a bad way, of creating a global conflict and working in a global effort to destroy everything from small and medium-sized business to even the average person's will. And again, I'll repeat, this is on a global scale. I look at it and in some senses I'm in awe at what they've been able to accomplish. I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, I realized Hitler did it with a nation, but this is the world that it's being done with. And sitting back looking at it, you know, you have to remember, I don't get all wrapped up and tied up in partisan things. So me sitting back and watching this unfold right in front of my eyes, I'm in awe. Not necessarily in a good way, but I'm indeed in awe. And I can see them making this push. Now, I've been saying for a little while now, even before we went over and started doing the Patreon thing, I'd been saying, get ready. They're ready to make their big push. Was I wrong? Clearly I wasn't. I knew it. I was watching how they were posturing and how they were setting things up. And I knew. I understand the psychology behind this, and the reason why I can differ between the average everyday person on the psychology behind this is because I don't get wrapped up in the partisan things, and because I am staying focused on the important things. I'm not being distracted by sports, or I'm not being distracted by what this sports person is doing. The same's true with entertainment or any number of things that they use to distract the average person. It doesn't work with me. We've got a TV on that wall hanging right there that is hardly ever on. Hardly ever on. And when I do click the thing on, a lot of times it's to watch something on YouTube. I'm like, oh, I want to see that on that screen. That's the most it's on. Every once in a while, we'll put on a movie, but it's not very often. Believe me, when you eliminate those distractions and you focus on what is truly important, your eyes open up to so much more. The trick is, you can't get emotionally wrapped up in cults, and I'll just call it for what it is. You can't get emotionally wrapped up in cults, whether that be political cults, whether that be social cults, whatever the case may be. You can't get wrapped up in it, because the moment that you do, you start being blind to the big picture. And I'm sure that there are some ways that I get wrapped up in certain things. I have no doubt. But I think I do a fairly decent job at not doing so. So, anyway, have another sip here, a few vapes. If anybody's got any questions about the things I'm talking about, or questions about things going on, go right on ahead and put it in the chat. With the way I do things now, I can actually keep a better eye on things, and I can actually take a peek over and look at the chat. It was a little hard for me to do before with the other software I was using. I'm just using OBS now. I'm actually using Streamlabs I was just having so many problems with Wirecast, and it was just becoming a nightmare. And to be honest, this Streamlabs/OBS is doing so much better for me. Not only in the way I do things, but in the options that it gives me. The only thing that I can't do is I can no longer stream in 2.7K. Big deal. So that's really about the only thing that I can't do that I was doing before. But other than that, it's actually given me the ability to do more. So in some aspects, I didn't use a lot of the features that Wirecast had. So, but anyway, this stuff is concerning. It truly is concerning. I don't know how much longer our nation's going to continue, even where it's at, and that's a pretty sad state of affairs, to be honest. We have an unreachable president. We have a government in general that it seems not to be accountable to the people whatsoever. And, you know, like I said, I look at these things, I look at, you know, one thing I try not to get real involved in is what went on with the election, but how can you not look at that and go, what the hell? What was that we just saw? You know, I don't get wrapped up in the conspiracies that was all going on with that, and I was warning others not to. And, you know, while I cannot deny that there was definitely something up with that, we weren't going to get to the bottom of it in the ways that people were trying to. So, in fact, it's kind of one of those things. It's like getting to the bottom of JFK. What happened with JFK? It's not going to happen because you are not going to be allowed to see the information that you would need to see to truly get to the bottom of it. Same with 9/11. You know, we can put together so many things ourselves to prove that we're not being told the truth about these situations. But the needed data, the needed information to be able to really put them up against the wall, we'll never get to see. We'll never get to see. Remember JFK? The JFK, there was information that was supposed to come out during the Trump presidency about the JFK, and what happened? Trump resealed it. Trump resealed it. See, we'll never be allowed to see this stuff. We're only going to be allowed to see what they want us to see, and then that's even going to be controlled. And most of the time, there's going to be a particular agenda behind it. Not real super long ago, we were handed a bunch of information about UFOs, and the government finally admitted that there was a such thing. There was a such phenomena that was going on. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, you think? And I'm asking the question, why are they coming out with this? Why are they admitting to this? Because anybody that has paid any attention since, maybe the 1950s, or if they happen to notice a few things in the good book itself, you know they exist. And they have existed. And I have to ask why now? Why is it now that they're willing to admit this stuff? What is the agenda that they're trying or going to try to push? And I know there's been several conspiracy theories about this, and when I say the word conspiracy theory, I'm not trying to demean it or anything like that, but that's what it is. It's by textbook definition a conspiracy theory. I look at words as words. I don't allow it to take my emotion one place or the other. And, there are theories about how, they will use UFOs, the UFO narrative, to scare people into submission, by using some of the theories, say holograms and this and that and the other thing. I'm not going to say that they wouldn't do that or that they couldn't do that because I know better. There is information that supports the idea that during the beginning of the Iraq-Afghanistan wars, that they used technology to make the people think that, I believe, if forgive me if I misquote some of the stuff here, but to believe that Allah was talking to them. That's what I've heard. And from what I've heard, their attempts were pretty successful. So again, I don't know. For one, I wasn't sitting over there. There's no way for me to know if I wasn't personally there. But I've seen some interesting documentation on the matter. And when I say documentation, I don't mean some conspiracy website. I mean military documentation. And it would seem that something of the sort did go on. So, could they be planning? Is that the agenda? Is that something that they could be thinking about doing with the American people? I'm going to tell you right now, anything's possible. If you would have told me 5 years ago or whatever that there would have been a virus and that they would have pretty much shut down the globe, not just one nation, but most of the nations, I'd have laughed at you. Because if it wasn't something that was extremely evident to the people, and I mean, when this thing first started, we were getting video, and I saw it myself. We were getting video coming out of China of people just falling over in the street, waiting for the bus. Okay? And so if we saw that on a widespread scale, right, across the world, many nations, people just falling over like that, yeah, I would say, yeah, that would be possible. But with the lack of seeing that or anything like that on a wide scale, if you'd have told me 5 years ago they would have brought the economy to a screeching halt in almost every nation on this planet, I'd have laughed at you. But they did it. So I'm not willing to say anything they won't do at this point or that they can't do at this point. Not after watching that. So I don't know what we're headed for. I do believe that we're going to be looking at wars. I truly do, and I think that they're laying out the narrative and have been laying out the narrative for that. But I really want to emphasize the whole world is a stage idea. And I also want to emphasize that we get prepared now. We need to get prepared as much as we can in every way that we can now. Please, I'm begging you to. And all the cool, neat gadgets are awful nice. But make sure you've got food. Because it doesn't matter what kind of cool gadgets you've got if you're hungry or if you starve to death. Make sure you've got food. And you don't have to go out and buy all the expensive freeze-dried stuff. Okay? You don't. Give me 1 second. Let me hop up. Give me 1 second. Grabbed a couple of things here. This stuff is nice. It's nice. It's nice to have. But you don't have to have it. You don't have to have this stuff. Let me show you. Now, I would have to go on Walmart's website to look again, but I think these are like $2 and some odd cents a bag, right? And it's, if I can get it on camera, Bear Creek, and that one's the cheddar broccoli. And they've got cheddar broccoli. We had one tonight. It was vegetable soup. Here's chicken noodle, creamy potato, vegetable beef, and I think that's the 4 that they have. They're like $2 and some odd cents, if I'm not mistaken, a bag. And that makes a half gallon. A half gallon right there. And all you have to do is boil water, 8 cups of water, and throw it in. And some of this stuff you boil for 15 minutes, the other stuff you boil for like 10 minutes. That's it. Now, you need more than this. You can't survive out the rest of your days on just this alone. Okay? Because this doesn't have other valuable things like proteins and stuff like that. Well, hang on. So you get stuff like this. Beefaroni. Okay? Walmart. The buckets are from Amazon. Those are Augustin Farm buckets. And those are from Amazon. But this other food I'm showing you, like the beefaroni, and we've got mini ravioli, and we've got lasagna, all Chef Boyardee, Walmart. The Bear Creek stuff, Walmart. So, you know, another thing that I want to emphasize for folks is these buckets are nice, right? The freeze-dried stuff, good. You throw it on a shelf for 25, 30 years, you're good to go. That's all nice, but you know what? Do you really believe that we've got 25 or 30 years before shit hits the fan? I don't. I don't think we've got 3 years before shit hits the fan. So I believe that stocking up on canned goods is a hell of a good investment right now. Because I don't think that we've got enough time that those canned goods are going to go bad. Just my opinion. And you don't have to get Chef Boyardee, right? It's okay, we're limited. Okay, we don't have a vehicle, we don't have transportation, so we're limited. You know, our shopping consists of Walmart, really, to be honest, when it comes to store shopping. We don't have like an Aldi's here in town or anything like that. And to be really honest, we do the easy shopping route. We shop online with Walmart pickup thing, and then, you know, Jen goes and we have a friend that takes Jen, and they literally load it up in the vehicle for her and the whole 9 yards, and that's done. That's that. So that's how we do our grocery shopping. And so what we do, and I want to emphasize this because there's a lot of people that are new to prepping, and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? I don't have anything. I'm so far behind. What do I do? First off, calm down. Relax. Secondly, just get what you can. Right? I mean, we're not wealthy in any way, shape, or form. We're about as poor as it gets. But we can get a little bit extra every month. And that's what we do. I can't tell you that, you know, shit's going to hit the fan tomorrow, next week, a month after that, or 2 years from now. But I can tell you that you can make an effort every month to put a little bit more back. And every month, you are a little better off than you were before. And as I always say, I don't care if you can only put back a couple of cans of food. Put your chin up. You're doing something. Put your chin up. That's incredibly important. Incredibly important. Don't let yourself get scared, discouraged. Don't. We don't have tons of food. We don't have tons of stuff. We're just now working on our food. So, we're in the same boat as many others. We don't have much. But I've been asking the Father all along, don't you think it's time for me to work on the food? And he's guided me towards other stuff. Until now. And now he's told me, it's time for food. Then we ran into another problem. Well, where the hell am I supposed to put that food? Because we don't have a lot of room in here. And we got a video, I forget the name of it now. I think it was camera test, preps and plans or something like that. Something to that effect, video that we put out on YouTube. And I told of my plans, and we're working on getting a shed, just a metal shed. And that will allow me to empty out this closet that's in front of us here. There's a walk-in closet that goes the length of this wall here, with the exception of a water heater. But there's a bunch of stuff in there that doesn't absolutely have to be inside. It could be outside in a shed and it would be perfectly fine. And so that's what's going to happen is I'm going to empty out that closet among other things that is in the home here and going to put it in the storage shed so we've got more room. And then what I'm actually going to do, and I'll be making videos on this stuff, what I'm actually going to do is put shelves, just the little plastic shelves, and I'm going to put like 3 shelves in the closet there. And all this food that I've got stacked up over there, when I say all, it's not a ton, all this food that I've got stacked up over there, and then we got some food in the kitchen that's actually for prepping supplies. That's going to go in that closet on them shelves. So another good thing that I didn't show you, and I'm not going to run in there and grab it, but things like pancake mix, oatmeal, stuff like that, sugar, stuff like that, important stuff to stock up on. And just if you don't have a lot to do it, just do what you can when you can. Don't get discouraged with it. But I highly recommend people start getting ready, because believe me, whether it be the issue of inflation and food prices going through the roof, or whether it be lack of supply and just not being able to get food no matter how much money you've got, we've got some woes coming our way. Make no mistake about it. And I would highly advise people get ready for that. And one of the most important areas is food, because without that, you're kind of screwed. So you need to have food, you need to have clean water, you need to have adequate shelter so that the elements don't do you in. And, you have to have ways to defend yourself. But again, don't let these things, these challenges, alarm you, right? You should never, you should never allow it to get to the point to where it just absolutely alarms you, because that's counterproductive. That's absolutely counterproductive. So, let me have a sip of coffee and grab my toothpick. Well, I guess I'll grab it later. I can't see it with the blue light on. Anyway. She's over there all sprawled out. So, I really do think that we're headed towards some crazy times. And I'm not going to even attempt to put a timeline on that because I don't know. But I will say that situations globally are escalating, and I'm watching things in the United States and how the people of the United States are getting fed up. They're getting fed up with, and it's hard for me to call it a lockdown because it's not really a lockdown. Largely, people of the United States has been obedient. So it's not really a lockdown if people are willingly doing it, is it? But people are getting increasingly impatient over being obedient. At the same time, you have some people that are afraid to death, and that's all they want is to be obedient and want others to be obedient. And then you've got other people that understand the impact in every way that this is having, and they want to get things moving again, whether it be business or education or whatever the case may be. And so I think you're going to see a lot of strife between not only the citizens of the country, but I think with Biden at the helm, I think you're going to see an increased push for things like the vaccine, for I'm going to call it lockdown, and stuff like that. I think you're going to see an increased push for that. And I don't think that the American people are going to sit too well with it. And I think that, many different things are going to play into what happens this summer. I really see that there's a lot of issues coming this summer. And I think that's both on a national and an international scale. So I highly recommend people keep a close eye on it. So yeah, that's what I plan on doing is they're not shelves like that you would hang off the wall. They're just the freestanding plastic shelves that you can buy. I'm getting the ones that you can put them together. Actually, here I'll show you the ones that I'm planning on getting. We can't afford a lot, so we're really limited on what we can get. And so I'm just kind of going with what it is that we can get, what we can afford. And otherwise, man, I'd have some awesome, super heavy duty steel shelves in there, but that's just not an option. So, got them somewhere here. Oh, I clicked you. These are the shelves that I'm talking about. Just they're medium duty, nothing special, but you can connect them together. So like if we get 3 of them, you can connect all 3 of the shelves together, and I figure by doing so that will increase the stability of them a little bit. Not to mention that when we get this shed, the newer shed, the sheds today, the wall panels, they snap together, right? Back in the day, they used to, the pieces of the wall panel, you actually screwed them together, and they're not like that anymore. They just kind of snap together, and they suck. So when I get this shed, I'm actually going to drill holes where the seams are, and I'm actually going to put rivets to increase the integrity of the shed. Well, since I'm going to have a rivet gun, and I'm going to have rivets, when I put these shelves together, I'm actually going to rivet the units together. So they won't just kind of pop apart anymore. They'll be riveted together. So that's the kind of shelves that I intend on using. I can't go drilling into the wall and stuff like that. I wished I could, but I can't. It is what it is. We rent. It's not our place, and it's the outside walls. It's a concrete home. And so the outside walls are concrete, and the landlord doesn't want me drilling into the concrete walls, and I understand that. So, ain't that big of a deal. Those shelves will do fine in there. And to be real honest, that closet's not real wide. So believe me when I say these shelves can't fall over. There's not enough room for them shelves to fall over. So, in fact, those shelves are 14 inches deep, and I will have to turn my skinny ass sideways to get in between the shelf and the wall. So yeah, there's not a lot of room in there. So that would be another issue with that situation. There's just no room in there. But again, we don't have a lot of stuff, especially along the lines of food. So we be, those three shelves, there's going to be plenty of empty space with those 3 units. There's going to be plenty of empty space left over for us to put more stuff. So I'm not naive enough to just put up enough shelf space for what we have now. I want to make sure that I've got enough shelf space to put additional things as we get it. So, because I'm banking on the idea that it's not going to hit the fan tomorrow. I'm hoping it's not. So, but I do believe that it's going to be somewhat soon. So, anyway, let me go ahead, and since I'm here, we'll go ahead and get started with the headlines, and I'll get out of here for the evening. So, we have a prima donna dog that gets highly upset if she's not in bed by 10 p.m. So, and I like to be in bed by 10 too, because I'm getting old. Be 49 in May, which is horrible, very, very, very horrible. But I am looking forward to the warmer weather that's coming up. We've got one more day of ick, and then we're going to be in the 60s, and all throughout the forecast, it's going to be the 60s. Some days the upper 60s, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm just so done with winter, it's unreal. Alrighty. Another sip here. Alright, don't have nothing from last night. Everything's from what I put out from this morning on. Mandatory freedom bracelets. Israel okays COVID tracking tech after satisfied volunteers prefer it to military-run quarantines. Obama joins chorus in dubbing massage parlor shootings as anti-Asian hate crime as Democrats keep narrative on white supremacy. And as I've talked about, there is also a push now on this whole male supremacy thing. And the really interesting thing is the sheriff apparently had came out and made the statement today, because when this happened, when they first, they arrested the guy, they talked to the guy, they were pretty solid on what the guy said, that this was because of his sexual addiction, and that it was the establishments, the type of establishments that the guy was targeting. Well, now apparently the sheriff is starting to say that it wasn't necessarily the establishments, but that it was because they were Asian. And I don't believe that. I believe that they are trying to change the narrative of this to be able to push their agenda, and that agenda would be white supremacy, male supremacy, and yada, yada, yada. Of course, they can't push the, oh my God, it was a big black scary gun conspiracy type crap, because it wasn't. Apparently, it was like a 9mm handgun, from my understanding, which it's hard to even find that information anywhere because it doesn't fit the narrative and they're not really talking about it. But the other thing that I want to warn against, and you can call me a tinfoil hat all you want, that's fine, but it has come out today, and I believe it's going to be in the headlines here, that individuals that partook in activities at these particular spas were members of Blackwater. And I'll let your mind do the walking where you want with that. It just seems that many times that there are events like this, that all of a sudden there's tie-ins one way or another to one of these groups. And that really tweaked my interest today, and I have looked into it. I have not turned up anything yet. If that changes, I will let you know. But it does indeed seem to be an accurate statement to say that members of Blackwater patronized, is that the right word? Patronized? I don't know. They went to these businesses. Okay? And I damn well think that that's an important part of the story to pay attention to. John Kerry caught flouting Biden's mask mandate on flight and dismisses elite hypocrite accusations as malarkey. It's good to be white when doing crimes, writes Esquire pundit about black suspect caught and released during Capitol riot. Hey, it's only the liberal media that you can see try to get away with this kind of stuff, right? I was shocked. Alleged abuser wanted to have sex in St. Peter's Basilica bathroom, and ex-altar boy claims. Man, I could do an entire show on this whole thing involving the Catholic Church, and whether it be children being abused or many other sexual immoral things that is going on. What bothers me the most is that people just allow it to happen. Nobody does anything about it. The governments aren't doing anything about it. Citizens aren't doing anything about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. You know, you see so many different people coming out and saying, oh, you know, we're involved in the fight against human trafficking and child sex trafficking. And, oh, yeah, what are you doing? Don't tell me what you're doing. Show me what you're doing, because I don't see anybody doing a damn thing. I don't. All I see people doing is collecting money, saying that they're doing something to fight it. That's all I see is a bunch of fundraising. I don't see people doing anything. And unless you're stopping it from happening in the first place, you're not doing a damn thing. Don't give me no bullshit about how you're going to help people after they've already been victims. Stop the bullshit to begin with. And a good place to start is right here. Tell me I'm wrong. A good place to start is right there. It frustrates me. Can't imagine the millions and millions and millions of dollars that have been given to different organizations or different people because they're fighting this human trafficking. They are, huh? Show me. Show me. Because I don't see it. Not in the least bit. Not in the least bit. What they're doing is profiteering off of a very horrendous situation. And that's disgusting. Sorry. That's something that really gets me. Really gets me. And there's so much of it going on YouTube right now with certain YouTube channels and all of that. And it really gets under my skin. Let's see. Suspected assailant of elderly Chinese woman in San Francisco ends up handcuffed to stretcher after she beats him up with a stick. And I keep saying over and over, right, that we are responsible for our own safety and security. Is this not proof of that? Right? Instead of people, you know, crying victim and trying to set themselves up to be a victim, set yourself up to be a survivor. That's probably a better idea, right? Because ain't nobody gonna help you. Not necessarily. You can't bank on that. I'm not gonna say that nobody's gonna help you, but you can't bank on that. You can't feel entitled to that. You have to be ready to help yourself. Obviously, this woman knows that. Russia's COVID-19 pandemic recession is already over after 2 successive quarters of growth in GDP and investment, economists say. Never gonna give you up. Kremlin says Russian regions have no right to independence votes as constitution bans breakup of the country. You gotta love stuff like this, right? And the reason why is because if individuals are wanting to break away from your country, I'm pretty sure that they're not entitled to listen to your constitution. It's kind of the whole point, is it not? Let's see. Fitch upgrades China's growth rate due to strong export recovery and global demand. COVID-19 vaccine deliveries slow in April but will speed up in May, says UK minister, despite drug company rebuttal. By the way, we have a dog for sale. I will trade it for a medium-sized banana tree. And what was the other thing? Medium-sized banana... Oh, and a cat. Yeah, medium-sized banana tree and a cat. So I got a dog up for trade, medium-sized banana tree, and a cat. Russia pledges to invest $600 million in joint gold refinery in Kyrgyzstan. I can't pronounce that. She's over there scruffing because she's mad because I'm doing the show. And yeah, Blue is Blue is one hell of a character, I'll tell you. Taiwanese, would you quit? Enough. I gotta finish the show, yo. Quit. Lay down, relax. I'll be done in a moment. Oh, gosh. I know you can't hear her, but she's over scruffing the carpet, and that's what she does when she gets pissed off. She scruffs the carpet. Taiwanese government cautions people against changing their name to salmon in order to grab free sushi. Yeah, it's it's a restaurant over, because I had to read it because I couldn't resist. A restaurant, I guess a restaurant chain in Taiwan is running some type of promotion. I guess if your name is salmon, you get free food. And so there has been an influx of people that have been trying to change their name to salmon so that they can get free food. Yeah, so, but hey, people wear jammy pants to Walmart. Biden clearly doesn't want good relations with Russia, Kremlin declares after U.S. president backs Putin as a killer comments. Beijing accuses U.S. of microphone diplomacy and ganging up on China on eve of high-level talks in Alaska. Pakistan announces plan to build 2 hydro-powered cryptocurrency mining farms. Turkey calls for respect for its judicial process as it rejects international condemnation of move to ban pro-Kurdish party. Procession of armed Chechen soldiers, wow, that's hard to say together, appeals on Instagram to Putin for action over vile attacks from liberal Moscow newspaper. Banks figure out new ways to rip people off by changing laws to get away with it, says Max Kaiser. And yeah, I think we kind of knew that. Hell, look at what's going on with GameStop. That's crazy. And still not necessarily over with. Toddlers' use of screens leads to behavioral problems in the classroom, a Finnish study finds. Putin responds to Biden's insinuation that he's a killer and says U.S. president is likely projecting, but I wish him good health. Hedging against U.S. dollar decline, Bitcoin rises after Fed signals lose monetary policy. Lukashenko won't hold talks with, and I never can say her name, as she has fewer than 100,000 followers on social media, says Belarus. Belarus is U.S. envoy, or UN envoy, I'm sorry. But my mind's blown by how we're really considering diplomacy according to how many followers you have on social media. This is an insane world. Pfizer and AstraZeneca deny coronavirus vaccine shortage, contradicting NHS England. Opinion split after student banned from University Union for discrimination after saying rude Britannia during hustings. Whatever. I'm just reading the headlines. I have no idea what the hell they mean sometimes. Iran firmly committed to developing missile capability, says defense minister, amid hostility in the region. Playing politics with vaccines, like the U.S. pressuring Brazil not to use Sputnik 5, made the world more unstable and cost lives. Let's see. North Korea officially rejects any contact with new U.S. administration. Australian police chief sparks backlash by proposing app to record sexual consent, later admitting it might be year's worst idea, or it may be year's worst idea. 1.6 million sex assaults occurred over 3 years in England and Wales. Vast majority went unreported, the UK crime survey says. And again, they are making a big push. And remember, this is a global effort. This isn't just in one country. This is a global effort, right? They've been over in the UK. They've been doing this whole male supremacy nonsense for a little while, and now they're starting to ramp up the rhetoric here in the United States, and they're really starting to push this agenda with this latest shooting that happened in Georgia. Now they're really kind of trying to push this theory about male supremacy and all of that. Folks, I'm telling you, we better put a stop to it. We better stop just laying down and rolling over for these agendas that they're pushing, because they are they've already got the fabric of this nation destroyed. They already do. Letting them continue to destroy it and whittle it down to absolutely nothing is foolish. It's not going to be pretty. We have to get over this. We have to get over the idea that we're entitled to freedom. We have to get over the idea that we're entitled to a nice, cushy, comfy, posh life. Because we're not. And at times, things have to get ugly to get better. We are at one of those times. Anything we do at this point, we're going to be made out to be the bad guy. Anything that we do to restore anything good, we are going to be made out to be the bad guy. But guess what? If we do nothing, we're still going to be made out to be the bad guy without doing anything. Because that's what's happening right now. So, pick a choice. Allow it to last forever, or rip it off like a Band-Aid. Explosive German child abuse investigation reveals 200 plus perpetrators, 300 plus victims in Catholic Diocese of Cologne. Again, like I've said, okay? We know for a fact where a big part of this abuse is happening. Until we put a stop to it, let's not act like we're actually trying to do something. Because we're not. We're just collecting money and saying we're doing something. Spanish lawmakers legalize euthanasia and assisted suicide, bringing end to 10-year jail terms. 8 years after dramatic arrival to Moscow, ex-U.S. intelligence contractor Edward Snowden ready to apply for Russian citizenship. Let's see. Russia reacts angrily after Biden calls Putin a killer. UK police to treat misogynistic attacks as hate crimes on experimental basis following murder of Sarah Everard. And let's not forget that Sarah was killed by a cop. Okay? But the everyday average citizens are going to be punished because of what this cop did. I'm telling you, this agenda is real. Eyeing post-pandemic travel boom, Russia to relax tourist visas so globetrotters can see country's landmarks for up to 6 months. And I know, by the way, there's many of the female persuasion that are not going to be happy with me coming out about this stuff and being so outspoken about this stuff, but you're not going to get me to shut up. Because I have already been assaulted by the family courts on such a level that your words are not going to shut me up. Plain and simple. I haven't seen my children since 2014, and I didn't do a damn thing to deserve that. So I'm tired of this agenda and been well tired of this agenda, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. You may find a lot of people that will. I won't. You don't have to like me. I don't give a damn. London warns of significant consequences if Brussels blocks COVID vaccines leaving the EU after von der Leyen threatens action. And I only say things like that, folks, because it's almost expected that every man should be so concerned about this, and we should all just lay down and accept it. And no, that's the problem. That's the problem. Far too long we have laid down and accepted it, and look what's happened. Look where it's gotten us. And we're not doing any. I'm not saying that there aren't bad people out there, but there's bad people out there of all genders and races and religions and you name it. There's bad people out there in all these things, and there's good people out there in all these things. But to label all white people bad, to label all men bad, to label all Muslims bad, to label all whatever bad, is ridiculous. And it's got to stop. Plain and simple. It's got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is for people to grow a set and stand up to it. I'm sorry if people get offended because I've got a set. It is what it is. I'm waiting for everybody to grow a set and join me so we can finally put an end to it. After rigorous scientific review, UK drugs regulator says people should still get AstraZeneca COVID jab. Blackwater had bad days in Iraq too. This is the article I'm talking about. Outrage after media links sheriff probing Atlanta parlors massacre to mercenary outfit. So, I mean, this is in the news that Blackwater were going to these massage parlors. Now, once I saw that connection, it changes a whole hell of a lot of narrative for me. And I have a lot of questions. 7 years after Crimea rejoined Russia, Western leaders are fooling themselves if they hope Peninsula can ever return to Ukraine. Northern Ireland police arrest man in investigation into bomb making by new IRA dissidents. French City deploys more police after riots over fatal car crash saw store looted and cars torched and truck rammed into cops. EU's free travel certificate, aka vaccine passport, risks falling victim to members' row over conditions. Woke Brigade slams Saudi Arabia's abysmal human rights record as images of awe-inspiring Jeddah Formula One circuit are revealed. Mexican army seizes counterfeit shipment of Sputnik 5 as developers of Russian COVID-19 vaccine warn of efforts to discredit jab. UAE cancels planned summit with Israel and Arab states over Netanyahu electioneering concerns. Let's see. Quote-unquote safe and effective EU drugs regulator backs AstraZeneca COVID-19 jab, though it can't definitively rule out blood clot link. Let's see. Risk of transmission negligible. Iceland opens borders to tourists vaccinated against COVID-19. Fearless Russian hikers climb up to Eurasia's highest active volcano while it erupts and cook sausages on lava. They've got a bigger set than I do. I'm just saying. They've got a bigger set than I do. Yeah. Much bigger. New York Times accused of fueling anti-Asian racism over headline on Chinese vaccine made from hamster cells. You don't say. We've got a flood warning. Really? Yeah, it's there's a lot of water in our area. One last failed bid to end the forever war. Pentagon advisor dishes details of Trump's final failure to end Afghanistan quagmire. Pakistani army general urges nuclear rival India to bury the past and help create conditions for peace. Russia's Putin ups the ante in New Moscow, Washington rift, and challenges American counterpart Biden to urgent live broadcast debate. Italy, France, and other EU states to restart AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine use after EU regulators' blood clot review. Nothing else explains it. Norwegian scientists say AstraZeneca did cause blood clots, as British and Dutch experts dismiss the theory. Paris, among 16 areas of France, plunged into a month-long lockdown as third COVID-19 wave rips through the country. International airline body hails successful use of health passport while industry tussles over how much intrusion is enough. Newly hired Teen Vogue editor quits as racist tweet scandal resurfaces amid concerns over anti-Asian violence. Emergency sites for migrant children are raising safety concerns. Houston police shoot a 1-year-old child in the head while pursuing a robbery suspect. And this actually happened, this just didn't happen like yesterday or something. But I saw this story and there has been new developments. It's not that it happened real long ago, I'll tell you that. Hang on here. March 3rd is when it happened. So it actually happened on March 3rd, 15 days ago. But that was the first I heard of it. There was an update on the boy's condition, and it was the first I had heard of it. So I went ahead and shared it out. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. We can't get nothing done about this type of stuff, but boy, we can sure destroy everything else. Migrant children held in U.S. custody soared to 14,000 as Biden press secretary accidentally acknowledges the border crisis. And I've got a number 2 up here. That's sports. And this is the other article. Biden is quite busy, White House spokeswoman says after Putin challenges U.S. leader to live unscripted debate. So Biden can't do it. He's just got too much on his plate, you know, like Jell-O and other types of finger food. So anyway, I didn't say that. Did I say that? I didn't say that. Anyway, that would be the headlines, like them or not. So I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody coming. We will have to do this more often and come on over and open up. I just really thought tonight was important because of all the stuff that I see happening. I really want to encourage people to start getting ready and to make a serious effort towards getting ready. And that's really about all I can say. So anyway, this is our last night until Sunday night, and I hope everybody does well. Hope you have a great weekend, and God willing, we'll be back at least over on Patreon for the live show on Sunday night. So, as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and Shabbat Shalom.